Hello everyone and now welcome to a 2v2 matchup. Blade and Dise going up against Bizzare and Sheik. This game taking place here on Twisted Meadows. Gonna change up the colors just a little bit. Blade spawning as the red human player here on what I will call the west side of Twisted Meadows. His partner directly to the north here, Dise spawning as the red night elf. They're going to be going up against Bizzare and Sheik, Orc and Undead. All right, let's go to the 2-minute mark. There's going to be a lot to see, a lot to do. Twisted Meadows, bases everywhere, a lot of gold, a lot of space to try and position and maneuver. All right, Altar of Darkness shows a Death Knight, a Farseer. Altar of Elder shows a Demon Hunter and an Archmage. So one of every race here in this, well, 2v2 matchup. Down on the south side, well, Acolyte trying to, try to aggro or do something here by Sheik. Not going to work out well. Militia continuing the chase. Archmage going to be coming back around here. We can see a scout tower, and here we are. Here we go. Already off to the races here. That one Acolyte perhaps going to try and pull aggro away. The Forest Troll High Priest easily going to get cleaned up here. Does give himself inner fire. The Acolyte. Oh, this Acolyte actually... this Acolyte getting cleaned up here. That Rock Golem was just getting body blocked there for a little bit, and now finally makes his way back over. Archmage will be getting to level 2, but the Death Knight and the Farseer are already in position. There's a Wisp detonation onto those two Spirit Wolves, so the Spirit Wolves pretty much knocked out of commission already. Who's going to get the experience? Archmage gets it there, picks up a Robe of Magi, as we now see an Ancient of Wonders being placed down here. All right, Summoning of Wolves, a bunch of low hit point peasants, skeletal minions trying to engage, Farseer trying to retreat back, Arcane Tower already there to greet Bizzare. Bizzare being forced to retreat back here as another peasant gets taken down. All right, more damage still getting racked up. That one Arcane Tower in a brilliant spot, cleaning up many of these summoned units early on as the Death Knight tries to bring in more Rod of Necromancy skeletal minions. All right. Mana burn onto the Death Knight. Death Knight is retreating back. Tech to tier 2 has begun on, well, the Bizzare and Sheik. Meanwhile, tech to tier 2. Wow. Here by Dise, not yet by Blade. How is this all going to unfold? Archmage perhaps going to try and, picks up a Circuit of Nobility, also a Dust of Appearance to try and find some of those hiding units. Well, Burrowed Crypt Fiends, I guess that's a little bit early for that in this particular stage. Meanwhile, Demon Hunter sitting at level 4 does have Claws of Attack +5. Couple of units here as the Archmage shows up. Dise needs to bring those units out of Shadow Meld. There is another mana burn there, and the Archmage's Brilliant Aura will actually keep the Demon Hunter's mana fairly topped off, being able to shut down multiple units. Archmage sits at level 2, has +16 attack. That is a deceptive Archmage. +16 attack on that Archmage there. Should be able to finish off units pretty quickly as we're looking at a potential expo attempt by Blade. Arcane or Tower already trying to be built up here. The Wolves going to try to dive in, and that's not going to work out well. And an early expo attempt by Blade as Blade is still sitting at tier 1. Obviously needs to find a way to save a bit of gold in order to build this expo here. Now, how is Bizzare and Sheik going to respond and react to this? They're already behind in terms of hero level, having only a level 1 Death Knight and a level 1 Farseer. They are at tier 2 already, getting up a Shadow Hunter and, well, should be getting up a Lich here as soon as that Necropolis is done, upgrading to Halls of the Dead. Meanwhile, the Death Knight, after getting mana burned so much, doesn't have as much mana to try and keep these units alive. Death Knight still down to 67 mana here, wants to get a Death Coil off, continue this creeping as we're looking at the Shadow Hunter and Farseer off to the north. Strong game already by Blade and Dise as we're looking at what water elementals getting summoned up, and what one voodoo lounge could easily get finished off before it is even done. Demon Hunter kind of come back around. There's a mana burn there. Water elemental absorbing quite a bit of damage. Archmage still with that plus 16 damage, finishing off some units as additional water elementals are bringing up the rear. There goes another unit there. For reinforced defense is completed. Orc burrows are no longer just going to be sitting ducks at the hands of the archers and the water elementals. Meanwhile, we're still looking at an engagement here. Demon Hunter going to finish off all of these as the archers are just able to pelt down damage. They don't have very far range though, as we see the Demon Hunter being able to teleport all the way back home. Gonna try to drink up some Moonwell juice and get back into position again. These archers, are they going to be able to do very much here? Footman continuing the fight. Archers trying to pelt down damage. Death Knight does have a Talisman of Evasion. Perhaps he evaded a couple of key attacks here as the archers, or well, the Demon Hunter is now back here. All right, there's a mana burn on to some of these units as the Shadow Hunter sitting at level 1 tries to fall back again. All right, gargoyles have shown up at the expo doing a little bit of, well, damage back here. Perhaps an upgrade to a guard tower would be helpful as well. Why build another scout tower when you have one scout tower not fully upgraded yet? Frost Nova shows up. Lich able to perhaps take down a couple of these units. Death Knight goes after one. Lich could go get another Frost Nova here, perhaps pick off another trailing unit again. All right, gargoyles looking to harass here. Guard towers getting upgraded. We are getting a blacksmith as well, perhaps for some riflemen, transitioning away from these footmen. One guard tower getting set up here. Perhaps another one does need to be set up as well to protect from those unfriendly skies. I was wondering why it was so quiet. It's hard to get immersed. My girls turned off my speakers. All right, down to the bottom left. Goblin Shredder quickly getting ensnared. Gonna, well, collect much of the collect a lot of the much needed lumber that Blade is getting because of this expo. Meanwhile, Arcane Vault also being placed down here. Both sides opting to clear out some difficult creep camps, perhaps get some hero levels, which means we're going to be seeing some interesting battles unfold later on. Archers do have that increased upgrade now, up to 700 range from 500, able to lob those attacks quickly. Meanwhile, Acolyte going to get cleaned up here. This haunted gold mine going to get taken out, and there goes Sheik's, well, undead Acolyte, or I guess now dead Acolyte. All right, Wind Riders trained up by Bizzare. We are only at tier 2, not tier 3, so we're not going to be getting envenomed spears. So this is a completely air battle by Undead and Orc. They have access to Wind Riders, they have access to Gargoyles, and, well, they're going up against a large army of archers by the Night Elf. This could be potentially very dangerous here as the Gargoyles try to, well, fly on through, but the pattern was full of water elementals and Archmage. No flyby for you. Sheik, however, now bringing in a couple water elementals. Going to finish off those units again. Low hit point Gargoyle. Is it going to get focused down? And no, it is not. There's a good to deny as the Archmage, still with plus 16 attack, can deal decent damage there. All right. Cleaning up some of these units here. Demon Hunter doesn't have an Orb of Venom. Wind Rider is going to, well, find a base pretty much sparse, no anti-air defense. And the Wisps are already in full retreat. The Wind Riders, with that strong piercing damage, would be more than enough to handle things. Dryads trying to do a little bit of slow poison damage onto the Wind Riders, trying to exchange blows as we're looking at the Gargoyles helping clear out this Rock Golem creep camp here in the center portion of the map. All right, no expo on the bottom left here. So it is 3 bases versus 2. Acolyte going to get cleaned up again. Mountain King sitting at level 1. We are not going to tier 2. We are going into Arcane Sanctums, though, with Priests and Adept training. Fork Lightning, Scroll of Healing used there. Dry Archers trying to poke down some of these units again. Scroll of Speed allowing for a quick maneuver. Are those Wind Riders going to be able to catch up to that Dryad? Dryad trying to run all the way back home. Going to drink some Moonwell juice. Demon Hunter does have now. Demon Hunter now has Orb of Venom, Potion of Invulnerability. Going to go after some more of these units. There he goes. Orb of Venom going to add some damage over time to these trailing as the wisps are getting cleaned up here. Demon Hunter could be in a little bit of trouble. Does have a Potion of Healing. Is he going to absorb some damage as we're looking at some more damage coming back across here? They're trying to use the Potion of Healing at the last moment in order to, well, bait out a wave of attacks from the Wind Riders. He is able to bait it, and now because he was able to bait, finishes off a Wind Rider and essentially just traded it for a Potion of Healing. Coming back to the south side, Mountain King finds a Necropolis under construction or in the process of being summoned. That will get cleaned up there. One Acolyte hiding in the back as the Archmage and Mountain King making their way off to the north. Wow, did not mean to go that close. While sitting at tier 2. That seems a little bit too far. Yeah, that seems okay. All right. I'm not trying to zoom in. All right. Archers. Are they going to be able to lob here? There is just so many air units going after this. No Breath of Fire. Nothing to really challenge all of these air units. No Goblin Alchemists to remove armor and do some damage over time as the Archers are just falling one at a time again and again. As the Archers fall, that's going to be a big difference there. We do also see the Wand of Negation does deal 200 damage to summon units. There's a Death Coil. There's another dead Archer again as the Death Knight, well, with Unholy Aura, able to really keep pace with all of these units. There's another Death Coil again. No Obsidian Statues. Meanwhile, off to the north, Wind Riders are going up against the Demon Hunter here. Demon Hunter does have Orb of Venom. Well, Druids of the Claw are coming back across. Scroll of Town Portal in by Naga Sea, which falls at level 2. Demon Hunter falls. Riflemen show up to the party. There's a Stormbolt finding one of those Wind Riders there. Is it gonna, well, it is going to be stationary long enough to get picked off, but the Naga Sea Witch and the Demon Hunter were both lost earlier. Both Dise and Blade seem to have an economic and an early advantage, but the tech advantage and the choice of units in Gargoyles and Wind Riders doing surprisingly well. Just doing surprisingly well. Level 2 Masonry upgrades also by Blade, so these towers are fairly strong. We're looking at more gold still being collected, 74 over 86 supply, and 27 over 50 supply for Dise and Blade. Meanwhile, we're looking at 40 and 45, so overall army compositions, 80 over 96 now, and what is it, 28, so it's 110 compared to about 90, a 20 army supply difference. But remember, there are actually additional workers for human because of that extra base. All right, getting ready for an engagement here. Gargoyle is going to go straight after that Arcane Tower. Are we going to see any repairs? Lich losing quite a bit of mana already. Scroll of Town Portal inbound. Well, no, that's just a Staff of Teleportation inbound. Going out perhaps after a Goblin Shredder or some of these other additional targets. Water Elemental right there. Goblin Shredder trying to head back every which way. There are multiple gargoyles going up against the towers here, and that gargoyle will get taken out. Guard Tower about to fall as well, and it looks like Sheik doesn't even care that he's inside the base here. He's just going to clean this up and perhaps take down a lot of the peasants, remove the economic advantage that Blade worked so hard to get. Meanwhile, well, a farm being built right next to the haunted gold mine. We are going to be looking at 1 or 2 bases versus 2 bases here in just a moment. Blade's single Archmage is not enough to really fight back here. Are there riflemen or anything else? The riflemen are just out of position. And remember, this is a long walk. Twisted Meadows is one of the largest maps in the entire game, and this is an extremely long walk. Mountain King trying to make the trek all the way back home. Death Knight down to 111 hit points, and he is still looking strong here. Archmage trying to put pressure. There's the Scroll of Town Portal. Mountain King, I don't know why he didn't bother Stormbolting earlier. He had the opportunity to Stormbolt and finish off the Death Knight, and then perhaps also take down the Lich, since that Lich had nowhere to go. A complete missed opportunity right there. An invisible Mountain King next to that Death Knight in order to finish him off. Oh, he's got to be kicking himself for that one. That would have been a complete change. Instead, Blade now losing a lot of his primary base and resources, and without anything to show for it. Off to the north. It looks like it's a battle of the towers. Scout towers versus watchtower. What's going to be built first? Well, Tauren Chieftain and Wind Riders with some Farseer and Shadowhunter says, get this junk out of my house. These buildings do not belong here. Footmen looking to take down this haunted gold mine down to the south here. It is going to be completed. Blight is now down. Gargoyles can make their way over. And, well, unless those footmen have defend, it is going to be difficult to try and hold on to. Meanwhile, we're looking at Ancient Protectors in position to protecting against those Wind Riders. Demon Hunter trying to, well, do a little bit of a chase. Are we going to see a mana burn? There we are. Are we going to be looking at some Storm Bolts? No, we are not, as the Farseer quickly uses the Scroll of Town Portal to get out of that dicey position. One Wind Rider, however, trying to regroup, does not get there. Staff of Sanctuary is going to save a couple of units, or Staff of Preservation. Why buy a staff? Well, does human at tier 3? No, human is not at tier 3, so you cannot buy a Staff of Sanctuary. Staff of Preservation is, I guess, good enough. All right. Scroll of Town Portal. No, Staff of Teleportation inbound again. Archmage is dropping a Water Elemental, trying to fend off this attack. Gargoyles are once more ready to lay down a bunch of pressure. Lich doesn't even have an Orb of Corruption. Is he at... He's at Black Citadel, but doesn't have an Orb of Corruption, oddly enough. Meanwhile, well, we're looking at a tiny Great Hall being built up by Bizzare in the corner. All right, so... using air on a Twisted Meadows means that you do have easier access to these corner creep camps, and we're looking at a bunch of critical strikes here by these dire wolves. Tauren Chieftain looking to get to level 2. Farseer, Shadowhunter, Ring of the Archmagi on that Shadowhunter, about to finish this Granite Golem off. It looks like a lot of, well, damage there. Scroll of Restoration going to get picked up and perhaps used in the upcoming fights. All right, Haunted Goldmine, that is also going to be summoned up. Mountain King makes his way over. Archmage going to drop some Water Elementals and finish off this Haunted Goldmine before it really got going. All right, about 5 minutes of mining left in the main bases. Meanwhile, or, well, 3 minutes of mining left in the main bases. I forgot that human did, well, lose quite a bit of mining for quite some time. This base easily going to get finished off. Rifleman with 2-0 upgrades, getting the job done there. All right, tiny Great Hall. Peons getting to work. Should be able to clear out this, well, gold mine, or mine in peace this gold mine. Meanwhile, Bizzare, is he going to try and use another tiny Great Hall to set an expo off at the 12 o'clock spot? That just seems natural. Meanwhile, I thought there was a mining attempt here, but that no longer seems the case. Archmage now leading the charge with Night Elf support off to the north here, trying to take down the undead base of Sheik. Sheik's trying to retreat back. A couple of Acolytes still mining away. 2 minutes of mining left here. This base may not be worth saving. And, well, what is happening here? Bizzare is sitting at tier 3. That is a lot of guard towers. And, well, so many guard towers means that these bases are going to be able to hold on steady. Tauren Chieftain doesn't have shockwave. If he had shockwave, should have been able to shockwave down many of these buildings, as they're so tightly grouped together. Ancient Protectors are still alive, and in comes all of those units. There's a giant stomp across all of those units here. No lightning shield, but level 5 now on the Archmage, as he's going to be fighting his way through. Demon Hunter does have Orb of Venom fighting its way back. Tauren Chieftain could be in trouble, as the Tauren Chieftain falls at level 2. Death Knight now needing to retreat out, as both sides, well, both sides showing back up to defend the base. All right, Bizzare is setting up an expo here at the 12 o'clock spot. That should be easily cleared out. This haunted gold mine is going to be cleared out as well. Multiple guard towers being placed down here, as the main gold mines only have about, wow, very limited mining left. Meanwhile, the Acolyte here, how many workers are for Sheik? I only see one Acolyte there that he's trying to summon up. Bizzare could be in a strange spot, as, well, Only a minute of mining. There is this expo off to the side, but it may not be able to support this uphill battle. 73 supply and 48 supply, so about 120 going up against 54 and 16. Yeah, not looking good whatsoever. Great wall of scout towers and guard towers against all of those air units. Short of a miracle in getting higher hero levels and being able to shut down heroes, I can't see how this game is gonna go well for Bizzare. Bizzare and Sheik up against the wall now, needing to fight their way back against a much larger army. Here we go. Demon Hunter gonna try and finish off this fortress here. Meanwhile, Shadow Hunter, Farseer, ready to push across and engage. All right, Ancient Protectors quickly getting pressured here. Wind Riders going to go ahead and follow up. The Wind Riders, well, having to be careful of that Ancient Protector's piercing damage. Healing Wave bouncing around. Tauren Chieftain falls at level 2 at the base here. There's a Scroll of Town Portal to try and retreat back and defend. Chain Lightning followed by a Stomp, I believe. But Mountain King should be able to get off a Stormbolt on a trailing unit. Lich falls at level 4. Mountain King is going to be able to get a shot off onto that Wind Rider. Yes, he will. Slow poison, and, well, that's going to be one dead Wind Rider there. Little bit more mining. 54 supply. Meanwhile, Sheik, little bit of mining here, but not going to be enough at all. Meanwhile, we are speed building a Town Hall. This Town Hall is nearly done, as both sides still fighting their way through. There goes a Wind Rider. There goes one. All right. It's more engaging. There goes another Wind Rider. And we're starting to see the heroes of Blade and Dise start to pull on ahead, and that is going to be the game. A strong showing, but not enough to finish and close out the game, as Blade and Dise come away with the victory. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments below. Total score, Blade leading the charge there with the higher resource score, and, well, pretty much winning in all 3 categories, constantly staying well, around 70 supply, it seemed like, and being able to keep those units alive.